Hi there. Interesting things are going on in the US currently, and more or less worldwide to a lesser extent. As it pertains to the leftist movement generally though, there's something unsavory that comes up in practically every discussion on theory and tactics. Sadly, a minority of the conversation taking place currently. Talk about socialism, the necessity of revolution, learning from our history, etc., and you'll eventually come across the supposed libertarian-authoritarian divide. You see this nonsense everywhere, on that silly political compass you find online, and if you've been bad this Christmas, then in organizing spaces too. Let me put your mind at ease. This is a meaningless divide. It doesn't materially exist. I'll substantiate this in a second, but I'd also like you to think for yourself as to why that is. Clarifying my own position, well, I'm a Marxist-Leninist. I advocate for state socialism. In order to achieve said socialism, I firmly understand and advocate for the necessity of revolution. Reformism has failed over and over, and Rosa Luxemburg has clarified this position plentifully in her landmark work, Reform or Revolution. Not that you even need to read Luxemburg to see this, a cursory glance through the most basic history of the 20th century proves this beyond any doubt. Regardless, as I advocate for revolution, I also understand that this revolution won't manifest from thin air. I understand that it will logically entail a party, constituted from the working class, with sufficient political will and the support of the people. The work of said party may, we hope, culminate in revolution and the seizure of state power. This will naturally involve some level of violence, probably a lot of it, in fact. No ruling class has ever peacefully given up their own power. Not only this, but I also understand that once state power is seized, we will require all sorts of new organizations to protect the new gains of the working class. An internal security apparatus, a military of some size, or nuclear weapons. Certain levels of repression against reactionary sections of the population, landowners, former capitalists, fascists, etc. This will take the form of re-education or more severe measures if necessary. Again, this is something history has proven to be a necessity. By virtue of my advocating of what I mentioned above, I would probably be labeled as an authoritarian. I, of course, reject this label as it's meaningless. Nothing worth doing doesn't require at least some level of authority, and social change necessitates violence. Let's flip over to our libertarian friends. With them, there's a little more diversity in views. I'm discussing only those that are Marxists in this case. I'm not interested in liberals who think voting for Biden or whatever is what should be done. That's the sort of brain rot that'll require its own video. Or reading theory. Please, oh god, read some theory, please. As for libertarian Marxists, logically they too want revolution, we hope. State or no state. They too think a coordinated effort of the working class with sufficient political will can result in the changes desired, whether they want this in the form of a party, or through trade unionism only, or through a spontaneous uprising with no vanguard, it doesn't matter. The validity of all these positions is a question of theory that can be discussed elsewhere. Logically, they too also understand, to some level, that reactionary trends will exist after the revolution and will require some level of authority to be dealt with. This is the thing though, notice how there are no differences. Within quote-unquote libertarian socialists, if they understand the fact that there will definitely be reactionary trends and fascists to deal with, they would also definitely understand that this means prisons, this means violence, this means some sort of security apparatus to keep track of these people, and on and on. They understand that we have to seize power in one way or another, and it's evidently clear that voting won't accomplish that. That leaves one option, which also means violence. So why do they consider themselves libertarian? If the goals are the same and the methods required to achieve them are by their very nature authoritarian, why do they want to separate themselves, or more correctly, designate some other group as different? When we talk about capitalism, no logical person on the left discusses libertarian capitalism versus authoritarian capitalism. The difference is only in aesthetics. US or French capitalism isn't any more libertarian than Taiwanese or South Korean is authoritarian. Poverty is still violence, lack of healthcare, workers' rights, unemployment, etc., etc. These are all different avenues of the same authoritarian tendencies. Whether a person is barred from making a living because of a debilitating illness or because of racial discrimination, they're both authoritarian in the end. Within socialism, things aren't any different. We need to change the system we live in. The only methods to do so are by definition authoritarian. Libertarian socialists understand this, and they surely aren't pacifists. Yet, to reject so-called authoritarianism, or to label others as authoritarian, despite the fact that both sides of this coin require the same methods to reach their same desired goal, simply makes them out to be just confused. That, or it's a certain measure of fear of the ruling classes labeling you as authoritarian, despite the fact that literal saints like Allende and Sankara are demonized by them. Their words mean nothing. In the end, the libertarian-authoritarian split, quote-unquote, is nothing but semantics to protect one's feelings. Unsurprisingly, this is something seen almost exclusively in online Western Marxist spaces, as here, in my own third world country, people would laugh at you for insinuating your desire for revolution is anything but authoritarian. This is nothing but a byproduct of over a century of red terror that has plunged deep the hatred of all honest and successful revolutionary trends for softer words and softer identification in order to possibly remind this social other, or perhaps themselves, that they aren't with those leftists, the ones that have successful revolutions, the ones that have lifted millions into literacy and a dignified existence, the ones that defeated the Nazis and invented space travel, the ones that supported countless revolutionary and national liberation struggles worldwide and whose absence is still sorely felt to this day. The ones that succeeded because they didn't shy away from the use of authoritarian means as they are the only means of success. Had it not been so, Allianz Chile would have worked out. So what's my advice? Drop this nonsense. By virtue of advocating for revolution, you are, by definition, authoritarian. At the same time, everything that requires social change is at some level also authoritarian. Calling yourself libertarian won't win you any favors from the ruling class, who hate you as much as they hate me. Finally, no one has been converted into being a genuine, committed Marxist by these petty appeals for what is essentially softer identification for the same desires. If we compromise revolutionary positions in order to get an on-the-fence liberal on our side, we haven't made a new Marxist. We've only made two liberals. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy what I do, then please consider supporting me on Patreon. It really does help. I'd like to thank my patrons, so thank you to Wes, Soviet Puma, Kongjiao Hu, DV Gold Gamer, Jaden, Philostachys, Job, Eddie Luck, Spooky Scary Socialist, Alex Benishek, Comrade Goat, D. Lang, Darius A. Burnhall, James Kavanaugh, John Bernston, John Poland, No L, Nobody, Paul Luders, Pauline McDeasy, Rocco, Rose Hogginson, Scott Radburn, Alan Plum, Andy Haywood, Brandon Persuade, Coach Cinnamon T, Comrade Benito, Comrade Pingu, Daryl McFarlane, El Juanton, Eli Gerzon, Eugene Seminovsky, Ferry Tahan, Garlic Bread, Grandma Artifa, Granola Joe, Industrial Robot, Job, Jordan Follows, Khan, Kyle Rapper, William Sipanen, Libertarian Stalinist, Manda, Mass Strike Now, Matt, Mika Agropoulos, Michael Reddy Webster, Namratha Prabhu, Natalie Taylor, Amar Abdul Jabbar, Parker Cushing, Ren Kelb Lancaster, Ring, Rudy, Sid Singh, Sussy M, Ted Teddington Tedsville, Toke Mukai, Tristan Druyan, Veraldor, Zatarani, and Zaran Arsen. Thanks for watching.